What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. This right here, as you should all know by now, is the podcast where we dive into the deep, dark, murky waters with a plethora of legendary guests. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the number one scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's REXXX. You might also know me as AKA the King of Sleaze, AKA the Air Metal High Priest, and most importantly, AKA Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Just spoke to my lawyers today, and the hard science is almost in, and it will prove conclusively what we've known all along, that you are looking at the son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop Boppa Loo Boppa Wop Bam Bam Shazam. Hot damn. I am feeling good. More importantly, I'm looking good. So are all of you out there. That is, of course, made possible by my favorite product. You want the quaff like Roth? You got to earn it. Coming to you as always from the lush lavender lounge of love, joined as always by my good pal, the Keith Hernandez puppet, who will occasionally, contrary to popular belief, he is able to text. Once in a while, he will hit me up, even though he won't speak up. He will hit me up with questions and or comments for my guests. He does it on the sly. Believe that. This is, of course, the No Frills podcast. You don't get no frills because I'm 50 years old and I just don't care to give them to you. So, that being said, I will give you thrills, and that's looking at this puss right here. So, you're welcome. And got a great guest for you today. I am very excited about it. A guy that I consider to be a legend. But then again, I consider everybody that comes in here to be a legend. So I know what you're saying. Rex, what else is new? This is all we've come to know you for. Legends, legends, legends. And he's here right now. So let's get down to it and chop it up with him on Pod Scum. Enough. Dispense with the formalities. Let's get to it. Well, James, thank God that wasn't very difficult, huh?
Finally, man. What's up?
Isn't it just great that technology is making everything so easy for us, you know? I mean,
listen, I would love to say it's because we're old school, but I think it's just because we're old, man.
Yeah, I think that's definitely more accurate. James DeMARIA from, listen, I was going down the itinerary of the bands that you've drummed in, and there's been a lot of them, but what is the main focus right now? I want to say TOXIK and HEATHEN.
Well, Heathen, I haven't been with Heathen since December.
Okay.
So now I'm basically just with TOXIK, and I fill in occasionally with Whiplash, and I'll play with whoever. I'm basically whatever, hired gun. I just want to play music, you know.
Hired gun. I like that. And more importantly, other than metal drummer, a fellow soldier in this field that we call healthcare, because I by day am also a nurse as well. And it looks like now did you work today?
I just left. I'm a nurse manager at Burke Rehab in White Plains.
Are you still wearing masks?
We are. Hopefully,
because I can tell by the beard, because when I leave work, mine looks like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What type of nursing you do, dude?
I'm an LPN, so I'm on the front lines of the nursing home. You know, my wife is an RN. You know, she does the OBGYN thing. I always kid her that she's the smarter of the two of us because she's got the RN after her name. I am just a lowly LPN. So
there's no such thing. There's no low station when you take care of people, brother.
That's true, and I like that philosophy. Right? I do. Now, first of all, when I go to your Instagram, I instantly would like to get some clarification on what Kung Fu Gym is.
Well, I was given the name by the guy that gave me my tattoos, J.R. Maloney. He was in Vanguard Tattoo in Nyack. And that was just my nickname because, you know, for about 10 years of my life or more, I was just hardcore Kung Fu. I studied under my dad for about 10 years. And that just became my nickname, Kung Fu Gym. So
martial arts are a big part of your life still to this current day?
Still, I don't go to class anymore, but I do practice on my own, and I love it, you know.
And what kind of benefits does, because I imagine, and of course, none of us are able to replicate what we did when we were in our 20s, in drumming especially for extreme metal, certainly can take its toll on the body. How has drumming changed for you?
Well, when I was a younger man, I'm going to say that I really just wanted to be in bands. And so I would practice to be in bands. And now,
right.
I like to play my instrument actually and get better at my instrument. And that makes it even more fun to play in your band. When we're younger, man, success is really defined for you. You have to make it. You have to have a record deal and you have to be famous and you have to make money. And,
right.
none of that is true. Right. I'm not Metallica. But in my eyes, for the things that I wanted to do for my life and being a fan of heavy metal music my whole life, all I wanted to do is play great shows. I don't really care if people know my name or there's, I don't do this for money. I was out with, with Heathen last year. We made a couple of dollars here and there, but, we basically did 7 weeks in Europe for zero money. We all came home with no money. So, it's more passion than anything. But because I'm on those stages and I've played in on these great records, to me, to be on a Heathen record was like a dream come true. Same thing with TOXIK. I wasn't a big TOXIK listener when I was younger, but I'm a fan of that band. I'm a fan of Josh, and I'm a fan of what he writes. So it's just an honor.
I've had him on here too. I've had him on here. Great guy.
Great interview too with Josh. Yes, very smart.
Yeah,
and TOXIK is very
layered. You saying that.
Yeah,
he is. I've had Pregan on here as well.
Yep,
another awesome guy.
Yep.
So, how early on did you know that you wanted to play music, and then also similarly, how early on did you know that you were going to venture off into healthcare?
Well, early on, just being a kid, you're listening to music. I love listening to music as a kid. Any music, really. Helen Reddy, Billy Preston, any 70s, 70s AM radio, man. We grew up on that shit.
Yeah.
Whatever, Jackson 5, Motown. If it was good, you listen to it. Then you start to listen to more rock in the 70s, Bad Company and Nazareth. And, of course, once I got into Kiss, that was it. It was over. Beatles are my favorite of all time. But, you got into Kiss, then I got into Judas Priest. Somebody showed me Unleashed in the East, and that was it from there. Unleashed in the East, opened the doors. And, to be able to, I knew that I wanted to do that. But my first instrument, I tried to play guitar, and I messed around a bunch as a kid, but I didn't really start playing drums until I was about 18 years old. So, I've been playing catch up. Yeah, man. Look at I watch a video of Eloy Casagrande at 14, and I'll never be that in my life.
He's pretty. He's pretty incredible, man. Quite a force.
Yes.
So what happens with the guitar when you're trying to take the guitar at a young age? Like, what's the part that makes you put it down and say, "I'm going to try something else"? Is it just all those goddamn strings that are on there?
Yeah. Well, I had a guitar, and I never got to listen. I never got to go to lessons. I was getting in trouble a lot as a kid, so I would get fucking grounded. And rather than give me an instrument to play and give me something to divide my time, I just had to sit in the house. So whatever, man. I guess the reason why I don't play guitar is because I was supposed to play drums. How about that?
You're meant to be. Yeah.
That's
a healthy way to look at it too, I think. And what about healthcare?
Healthcare. Well, my mother's a nurse. And, I was working in the post office and shit. And I'm like saying I'm too, this job's too boring for me. It's not mentally stimulating enough. So I said, I got to go back to school. My mother's like, well, why don't you think about being a nurse? Because it's an umbrella job. You have a nursing umbrella over you. And then there's a million little jobs under it.
Yeah.
So, exactly. And as a guy in nursing, you can kind of carve your own path. I grew up in a matriarchal household, so I'm not really bothered by being surrounded by women who are the boss and shit like that, because that's what I grew up in. So, and then once I became a nurse, I realized that I really enjoy helping people.
Yeah, I do too. And it's funny that you say that because, you make two great points there. You do see a lot of nurses come from families where nursing was already kind of the thing. Like even our family, like my wife's a nurse. My daughter-in-law is a nurse. My two daughters are both nurses. It tends to be one of those things that really becomes part of like the fabric of your family. You see a lot of people kind of following in that tradition, so to speak.
Yeah, and if you hustle, man, as a nurse, you can make a really good living. You can make a lot of money, and man,
yeah.
I work in a rehab facility, so people come to me. I manage the cardiopulmonary unit, so I get transplants there, and people come to you broken,
right?
Physically mostly,
right.
And they're there for the therapy, and sometimes they get strokes. So mentally they're broken, emotionally they're down, and I get to build them up, man. And I like to, I'm a coach also, so I like to build people up, and I like to get teams of people to working together, and so every patient victory I get to celebrate, which is awesome.
Right. Right.
So there's 30 people on my
And unfortunately, me being in the nursing home spectrum of things, though, man, you do unfortunately see a lot of people at the end of their lives. You know what I mean? But there are people that, there certainly is a unit there where people do rehab and they do get to go home. But, obviously in the nursing home setting, you do see a lot of loss of life, obviously,
Right. But here's the thing, though, with that, right? Because the nursing homes are really very poorly staffed, and
Oh yeah.
We all want to think that our loved ones are getting the greatest care being in a nursing home, because you've given up every penny they've earned. You've given up their houses to put them in there, and it's not that the people in there are trying to do. There's just not enough help for the people to take the right quality of care to people.
Right.
And, being in the nursing home, I get my mindset would probably have to be was like, okay, this is the end of life. How can I make sure that these people are dignified and respected at the end of their days? And a lot of people in the nursing home are just thrown in there because nobody wants to take care of them, or they don't have family. So it's up to me and you, dude. It's our responsibility as human beings, to make sure that those people, have a hand on their shoulder, or somebody holding their hand, or making sure they're clean and making sure they're dignified. And that's, if I worked in a nursing home, I'd have to say that's what my mission statement would be. I have to make sure that these people remain dignified, and to the best of my ability, with as much help, whatever help they give me, it's up to me to make sure that my care is quality. I can't worry about the rest of it,
Right. And it's unfortunate because, and I don't know in your particular facet of nursing, how you've seen conditions change, but have you in what you're doing seen a change post-COVID?
Shit, you're freezing up for a little bit, man.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Are you seeing a big change on your end of what you do? And are you seeing a big change in your end of what you do in nursing post-COVID? Has there been a big change?
Well, COVID kind of burnt nurses out, right? You think about, that the way that we handled the whole situation. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but that this became a political thing. And, all you had to do was tell people, the newscaster should have been like, this is what we're doing in the hospitals to prevent the spread of disease. And we should follow what the hospitals are doing, right? It's as simple as that. It had nothing to do with who you vote for, how you think. It just had to do with, like we talked about in the nursing home, giving a shit about another human being. Yeah. And back then, dude, we didn't know anything. And, I had like 20-some. I was doing emergency dialysis back then, man. Like 20-something patients of mine died. I don't want to see people dying anymore. So, and then I had friends arguing over it, telling me masks don't work, and you can't tell me. I'm on the front line, man. I know what works. Don't care what you think. It became that, and that, at the beginning we're heroes, and now we're like assholes,
Right. You're down closer to the. I'm upstate New York. You're down closer, more near the actual city, correct?
Yeah, I'm the next bridge up after the GW, the Tappan Zee Bridge.
And as you get down closer to the big cities, are you still experiencing like the same type of stuff, as far as like, as you mentioned, staffing and things of that nature? Are you feeling that crunch?
To there's a nursing shortage in the world. So, we feel it here. We have some travel nurses at Burke. You have to try and stay, financially competitive, and
Right.
with agencies and stuff like that, agencies can pay big bucks over what you're paying because they're not going to pay somebody benefits. So
Right.
somebody will be like, oh, if their spouse has benefits, they'll go make $110 an hour at the agency,
Right.
So, I don't blame them. And then a lot of the young nurses are going for that money because they don't really. If I was young, I wouldn't care if I had health insurance. I know I'm going to be healthy, and I'm just going to go bank all this money right now.
Right.
I'll go to California, take a 3-month assignment, bank all that money. They pay for your living. They pay for everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my daughter took one of those stints and went out there, and when COVID first hit, and it was like, she went out there for like 2 weeks and made like 14 grand. Just went out there and took an assignment, and it's pretty crazy. But but obviously the agencies are doing good things in staffing these places. But do you think sometimes though that it's kind of like that it kind of cuts these places off at the knees a little bit though too? I mean, we need these people to come in there, but as you said though, you're trying to keep the wages competitive. You don't have people sometimes really. At least this is what I've seen on my end. You see a lot of people that aren't really invested in the facility itself because they're going to this facility and that facility.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I like the fact that nurses and agencies have driven up the salaries of nurses. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that fact. But which is hard as a facility or an entity to hire people because they'll be like, yes, I definitely want to work at your hospital. No,
Right.
They're not going to pay me enough. So I'm going to work at your hospital, but through the agency.
Right.
And for me, it doesn't matter. As long as I know that they're a quality person.
Yeah.
And they're a quality nurse, then I don't care where we get them from.
Right.
That's beyond me. I don't have to worry about that, But like Burke probably used to pay maybe like $200,000 a year for agency nurses pre-COVID, and probably pay $2 million a year now post-COVID.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But you know what? At the end of the day, those agencies are driving nursing salaries up, and that's only really good for us in the profession. And your daughters are new nurses, and you got to take the good with the bad.
Absolutely.
Just give me the numbers that I have to work with, and we'll figure out a plan to take care of the people.
Yeah, that's the only way you can really look at it. So, so shifting away from this, 2022, TOXIK puts out DeMARIA. Now, first of all, you as a member of that band now, what has been the reception that you've received personally about this album? Because it's obviously gotten rave reviews. I've seen it talked on like a lot of the metal websites. Certainly up there with one of the best thrash releases of this of 2022, even of the last couple of years. What kind of response have you gotten?
Thank you, man. So, other than Josh Christian, I've been in the band longer than anybody else who's ever been in the band. And it's pretty fun.
You're the elder statesman.
We have a good close friendship. We have a good close work. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of.
I lost
cool.
you there.
And,
There you
go. It's nice to have Josh's respect. There's mutual respect there. Josh has an innate ability. So how about now? Better? We good?
Yeah, you're just getting a little pixelated and frozen, but yeah, I think it's getting better. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Am I coming through out there in television land?
Yeah, I can. Yep. Yes, you are. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what I was saying about, is Josh, Josh has a cool ability to be able to tailor his writing to the people that are in his band. So I'm more of a thrashier drummer than I am like a prog technical guy. So Josh finds a happy medium. It still sounds like fucking TOXIK, yet it's aggressive. I mean, DeMARIA is probably, I'm going to say DeMARIA is the most aggressive TOXIK album that's been put out of the three. And I look at it as side one is more World Circus and side two is more Think This,
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you lose me again? Did you lose me again?
No. I'm still here. No. And so obviously, with Toxic, pretty much being Josh's band, when you guys are gonna write a new album, what's the creative process like? Does Josh bring the lion's share of the ideas, or does he open that door up and make it a collaborative effort? How much input do you have into the material?
Well, Josh writes pretty much everything, and he sends us demos. They'll send me demos with drums, and pretty much the demos, guitar wise, become the songs.
Okay.
If you want, I'll learn the shell of the song. Because listen, when you're writing with somebody, for me, I want to be able to convey the idea of the writer. I don't really care if I can't play this crazy drum part. What does the writer want me to play? And I'll try and play that. If they want me to create a part, I'll create a part, no problem. But I would want to do that collaboratively with the writer of the song, because I want to be able to convey their idea. And Josh is inherently toxic, and he's uniquely original. Like, his style of thrash metal is different than other thrash metal. He's prolific.
I agree with you there.
Prolific writer.
He is. So as far as drummers go, I hate to word it. When we get to a certain age, it kind of sounds weird to be asking like the influence question, but to word it a different way, who are some guys who drum that, who's drumming that you really are a fan of? If you're listening to music, who are some drummers that you like? I
mean, listen, just going through stuff from growing up, of course, Ringo, of course, Peter Criss, of course, Nico McBrain. Then Lars, I don't care what people want to say about Lars, man. Lars influenced an entire generation of thrash drummers.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Lombardo, of course, Charlie Benante, any of those big four drummers of thrash. Lars, I stole a lot from. As far as trying to run a band and keep a band going, and a lot of his licks, because they were basic. And of course, you try to emulate Lombardo. Tom Hunting was a major influence of mine, and now that he's like one of my best friends, and it's incredible. That's an incredible mind fuck, that I'm friends with Tom. That's Tom Hunting. Dave Lombardo. We would know each other if we see each other at a place. I've been on tour with him a number of times, and he's the coolest dude in the world. And it's surreal. Those are really my guys.
And I'm so glad you brought up Lars and defended him, because he is a guy who really gets shit on a lot as far as his technique. And I get what you're saying. I mean, it's all those things that he brings to the table. He's great at marketing that band. He's great in interviews. I personally agree with you. Not being a musician myself, though, I certainly I've loved lots of Metallica stuff, and me not being a drummer myself, I can't pick apart his drumming because I don't know what good drumming and bad drumming is. But why does he get crapped on so much, though? As a drummer yourself, what is it about him where people will seem to want to shit on him?
Well, listen, every drummer, even people that want to shit on Lars Ulrich, every one of them wanted to play the fucking riff and won. Everybody did. It's not. That's not incredibly difficult. It's just great. It's just great. Every drummer, every thrash drummer, every kid that's grown up on Metallica plays Master of Puppets. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted to play the beginning of Motor Breath. These aren't difficult things, but they're, I equate Lars kind of like to Ace Frehley. Ace Frehley's not Richie Blackmore. He's not Yngwie Malmsteen or Eddie Van Halen, but he influenced a generation of people to pick up that instrument and play it. And what you could say about Lars's parts, you can sing them all. And, Revocation covers Dyer's Eve. Maybe Lars can't play that live, but Revocation can. But he still wrote those parts.
Right.
The early Metallica, man, Metallica was untouchable. You were there. They were untouchable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. And what are your opinions on the new album? Have you had a chance to hear it yet?
I've only listened once, and listen, man. My favorite Metallica album of the new era, like post-Black album, I'm going to say is Death Magnetic, because it was the most aggressive.
Yeah.
Even Some Kind of Monster, some of it isn't bad. It's just the snare drum it just ruins the whole record.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great riffs on Some Kind of Monster.
But the thing that I love the most about Lars, though, is his ability to just, propel that band, because I don't think they're where they are today if it's not for Lars and his persistence to get them on the compilations back in the day and to push and be the pesky guy that he is and propel that band forward. I mean, as far as like a guy, who's really believes in his product and really is pushing it out there until people embrace it. I mean, you gotta, if nothing else, the guy's tenacity is certainly to be applauded.
Dude, and think about this. You saw the document. You saw Some Kind of Monster, the film, right?
Yes.
I give I give Metallica full credit for showing the ugly underbelly of the band, and they thought about the same things that garage bands and all us other bands that are trying to make it. They're fighting over the same thing: control of the band. Two guys, Lars and James. But when James had to go away he was supposed to go away for 6 weeks. He was gone for 9 months, right?
Yeah.
Lars kept that band going. Lars kept it going. And when James came back and tried to pull that control shit, like, I'm going to work from 9 to 4, and after 4 o'clock, you're not allowed to work on new material. You saw Lars climb up on the table and crawl up 2 inches from his face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, he's probably, Hetfield's a legit 6'3". Lars is what, 5'6"?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, Lars, I don't care, man. Like, he's not, technically wise, he's not the greatest player. Right? Like, technique wise, he's not Charlie. He's not like Charlie Benante is probably the most technique sound out of all of those guys. He's an absolute destroyer of all, but each guy has their own style, and Lars might not have the chops of Lombardo or Benante, but he has his style, and everybody wanted to copy that shit, man.
Right. Everybody. And I think James Hetfield said it best too. He may not be the best drummer in the world, but he's the best drummer for Metallica.
Right, which in a band is always the sum of its parts. It's never each individual. Motley Crue's not a great band. The best guy in that band is fucking Tommy Lee. Yeah. But together they play well. A band is about chemistry. It's not about, like, just like an all-star sports team. You can have all the best players in the league on one team. That doesn't mean they're going to win. Right.
So when you when you mention those big four drummers, I'd like to get your opinion and weigh in on how you feel about this Pantera reunion. I know some people don't like it being called a reunion because the brothers aren't there. I do like the players they got to fill the parts, though. You mentioned Charlie, obviously Zakk Wylde, but what do you feel about it as a whole? Are you for it, against it?
For me, man, the Abbott brothers are dead. Okay.
Yeah.
That being said, these are their friends. Rex and Phil were also big parts of that band, right?
Sure.
You could say no Dimebag, no Pantera, but also you could say no Phil, no Pantera. Right. Now they are going out there. They're calling themselves Pantera. I don't have a problem with it. They're all treating it with the respect of staying true. They're promoting Cowboys from Hell. They're talking about the Abbott brothers. They're keeping that music alive. Yeah. And listen, everything is about money as well. And I have no problem. I've watched Anthrax go up and down. We're from New York, dude. They were like the New York band. I rooted for them. I used to go see them at L'Amour's. They never got to the height of Metallica. Let Charlie go out there and make a couple of dollars, man, and let him showcase his talent for the great drummer that he is.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing with Zakk Wylde. He was from Xyrus. He was from some hair metal band out here in fucking New Jersey.
Right.
He used to have big, tall, blonde hair, like he could be in Skid Row or some shit.
Yeah.
So let them do that. That doesn't bother me. Any of these bands, that doesn't bother me. None of it.
So when you think about the big four, the big four that we know, obviously Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, with so many other great legendary thrash bands out there in the Bay Area scene, is it? And I know we're strictly talking about album sales and commercial success, but ought that list be expanded a little bit, to show respect to the Exoduses and the Testaments? Should that be expanded to include more than 4 if they ever took that out on a tour again? Maybe like some type of a thrash festival where you include the Death Angels and the Testaments and the Exoduses.
Well, the big 4, Exodus, because of their record contract status in the 80s, missed the boat. I mean, Exodus was the influencer of all of them. Metallica wanted to play in the Bay Area because of Exodus. You know what I mean? An Exodus show in the Bay Area when those guys were all signed to indies was the most crazy thing going. So if there's going to be an expansion, well, because Big 4, those are just the 4 biggest bands that broke out.
Right.
Exodus belongs in there just because of they're the foundation.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
Exodus is the foundation, all right? And Tom Hunting and Gary Holt deserve to be as exalted as James Hetfield and Scott Ian and Dave Mustaine. Gary Holt and Tom Hunting both belong in that conversation.
I agree with
you. The second wave of thrash, because of record sales and because of their consistency, Testament is up there. I mean, Testament even headlines over Exodus. But for me, I prefer Death Angel over Testament. The Testament guys are all great. Chuck Billy's one of the best dudes in the world. I've been on so many tours with Testament. They're great, okay? And they fucking crush live.
Yeah.
But I just prefer Death Angel. They're always the unsung hero of that.
I agree with
area.
you. Yeah, I agree with you. I went to see I went to see the Bay Area Strikes Back tour last year, and I got to say that they opened the show, but they still have a youthfulness to them, and I wonder if that could be attributed to the fact that they did take such a long hiatus. They're an old band, but they're still a young old band, though, as far as the mileage on them.
But chemistry, that there was chemistry problems when they first got reunited. There was still chemistry problems, and then they made a couple of switches. I used to love it that they were 5 Filipino cousins, and now I love that the rhythm section is 2 white guys.
I know. But you talk about young guys, though. I mean, on those first couple albums, I mean, Andy was like 14 years old on some of those albums. I mean, you were talking about Eloy Casagrande there.
But think about like Death Angel. I mean, we all love the Ultraviolence. Frolic Through the Park was a little weird, but then when they came out, I think about the monumental leap in songwriting and production from Frolic Through the Park to Act 3. That was a monumental leap in songwriting. Like the only thing I could think about in modern times would be like take System of a Down's first record and then take Toxicity, where it just was a completely different animal. The songs were 100 times better. The production was there. Death Angel is absolutely crushing, and Rob Tavistani is one of the most unsung, overlooked Bay Area thrash metal gods.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I will say, just to piggyback on that point, though, when I did see the Bay Area Strikes Back tour, though, Exodus, though, played in the middle of Death Angel and Testament, but they were absolutely still, even to this day, absolutely amazing. The exuberance and the energy, I mean, crushing. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable.
Every night. Slayer's retired. To me, nobody should be going on after Exodus. I mean, Testament's great, and they crush, right? But for me, Exodus should be headlining that tour.
Yeah, I feel like
if I had my druthers,
go ahead.
The Testament at the beginning, Death Angel in the middle, and Exodus.
Yeah, and that's not to make and that's not to impugn any of these bands, but there's something about when Exodus takes the stage, though, where you really feel like, geez, I'm watching legit OGs right here. Like these guys were there, as you said, like right from the get-go, man, right from the very beginning. And I feel like they are the architect of that sound. Like I feel like when I have to describe thrash to somebody, or give an example of a band, they're the band that I hear or the band that I cite as like, hey, if you're going to dig into thrash and really want to know like what the blueprint of the sound is, for me, it's them.
The Bay Area, they are the blueprint of the Bay Area. Think about, they had just a bunch of people that used to go to their shows and be crazy called the Slay Team, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want to be involved with the Slay team. They would just stage dive on you. They would punch you. They would whatever. It was just that was the Exodus shows were like the most violent things ever, and everybody wanted to play with them. You know.
So what is next for what is next? We just got 2022's Dismorta, as I mentioned, an absolute monster of a fucking album. So you know, I talked to you offline. You know, obviously you guys are going to be doing some shows that are still not quite confirmed yet. But when do you guys plan on getting started on another record?
Josh has 6 songs already written. So we were supposed to go out. We had to just cancel the European run, unfortunately. You know, Josh had some hand problems in his left hand, particularly his pinky. So he had to have some nerve. You know, he had to have some nerve release done in his elbow, and then they had to cut his hand open, and it just hasn't healed as fast as we were hoping that it would. So unfortunately, we can't go to Europe. It's killing us, but you know, I don't want Josh to go and force 17 songs and then him never be able to play guitar again.
Right.
So, you know, so that's why he made the announcement. So yeah, we have a show July 8th. We're going to headline the New Jersey Metal Fest for at Debonair Music Hall in Tenafly, and that's being promoted and hosted by Jerry Declet, the host of the Metallica Cave program.
Okay.
So he's hosting that, and then we're going to be playing there. And then that's July 8th, a Saturday. And then the following Friday or Thursday, we will start in Lansing, Michigan, with a co-headlining tour with Tyrant. And I think Tyrant is on Pavement Music, and they're probably somewhere from the Midwest or something. So we're going to do 8 shows with those guys.
And so, would it be safe to say that probably, and of course you may have to defer to Josh on this type of stuff, but probably a new Toxic album sometime 2024?
Yeah, because we're not going on the tour, Josh and Ronnie are going to get together and start putting lyrics to the 6 songs that Josh has, and then Josh is he probably has a couple more to write, and then we'll get going from there. The guitars and vocals will get done. You know, Josh will lay down some bass, and then whoever's gonna then we'll get Shane to play, and then you know, hopefully after the summer when we get back from Japan, I'll lay the drums down, and you know, then we just got to get it mixed and roll from there. So hopefully early next year.
It's an absolute pain in the fucking ass. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I have stunted mine a little bit, but wearing the masks and having them ride up when you've got a good monster beard like that is not fucking fun, is it? It's terrible.
Yeah, it's whatever, man. I'll fix it at night. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying though, like when you're at work, I'm not even talking about the fact that it makes it messy, but when you're at work, do you find having facial hair that the mask is always riding up or down on you?
Yeah, I pinch it a little at the tip of the nose so it doesn't go so far, you know.
Yeah, but it's a really
if I'm not in a patient area, I don't have to wear it, so I'll take it off, you know.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So you guys have a timetable down there as to when masks could be out? Are you hearing anything down on your end about like when it could be the end of masks?
The only hospitals that are still wearing the mask down here are the Montefiore Health System, and that's what we are. So hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks. You know, for my floor, masks will still be part of my job anyway because I have transplant people back there. You know, like right now, I have a couple of lungs, and I have a couple, and then I have a heart transplant, I have a liver transplant. So,
well, you're doing. You know what, man? You know, I have the utmost respect, and I don't get to talk to a lot of guests on here. Oddly enough, I think you might be the first, you know, who does music and has a day job that is in healthcare, man. So, you know, I really appreciate you coming on here and taking some time and doing this, man. But,
dude,
you know,
thank you for having me, man.
Even more, I salute you as a fellow nurse out on the front lines, man. We're out there doing our thing. We're doing God's work out there, man. At least I like to think we are, you know, I mean, man. And it is rewarding. You know, you did touch on something really important there. It is nice and gratifying to come home after your day of work. And this is not to undermine people that go out and drive trucks or make deliveries or whatever. But there is something very nice about coming home and like knowing that you physically, you know, change the you know, the outcome of somebody's day, you know?
Right. Well, listen, here's, and I have a very different perspective over the past 5 years. So
yeah,
May 15th, 5 years ago, 2018, right? I had a cardiac arrest.
Oh my God.
So, but I survived it. So here I am, right? So that being said, you know, me being a nurse gave me the opportunity to be a patient. And when I'm a nurse, I was doing a lot of dialysis bedside stuff there. So I got to be one-on-one with my patients. And I like to talk to them. And I'm always nice to my patients. I'll do whatever they want me to do. I'll get them whatever they want. You know, I have their mind for 3 or 4 hours. I can, you know, be single-mindedly focused on them.
Right.
And when I was a patient, all the nice that I gave came back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'm a firm believer of like, you get what you give. And, you know, when I'm with my patients, you know, it's nice to, as a human being, to be able to, you know, extend yourself without, you know, you don't have to give me anything. I don't expect anything from you. I'm just here to help you. How can I help you?
Right.
Do I have to sit down and we need to BS a little while? Can I get you a glass of water? Can I just sit down with you and watch TV with you for a minute? You know, just things like that, man.
Sometimes it is those little things. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think unfortunately, when you do have staffing issues, at least I see this in the nursing home aspect of things, it's gotten increasingly difficult to be able to do those things where like we will laugh about how sometimes you're on a med cart and you just feel like it's just drive-by medicine. You know, you're just, here's your pills and I've got no time for very much of anything else, you know, and it is disheartening because you know, it is nice and gratifying to be able to do those things and stop and say, hey, you know, because a lot of people in the nursing home, especially when they sense that it's the end of life, you know, they do get chatty. They do want to share remembrances. They do want to share memories. They do want to feel like they've got someone to connect to and talk to, you know, rather than just being parked out in a hallway all day in a wheelchair and just, you know, sitting there all day, you know.
But that's what burns you out too. If you're just giving medication, you're a nurse because you're there to connect with people.
Right.
And then you have an ability to connect with people. And so that's why you're there. It sucks because you have to give meds according to a time schedule.
Right.
But the really important stuff is to go and sit with your patients and hang out with them. Like when I get overwhelmed doing management stuff and I just can't take it, I got to walk away from doing administrative stuff, which I don't like.
Right.
Then I just go hang out with my patients. I make rounds on the floor. I go spend 5-10 minutes with each patient, and you know, and I BS, and they kind of open up. And then, you know, if you could get them to trust you and talk to you, then their mindset of getting better is going to be that of trust, and they'll be like, oh, I trust this person. They won't let me down. They know what they're doing. I feel comfortable. I feel safe with them. So,
and sometimes doing those things is better than any pill that you can give them. You know, I mean.
That's better. Man, you get so many lonely. You got to think about your situation. How many people are so fucking lonely in the nursing home, dude? They're lonely. They're old. They're old and they're alone, man. And that's not a comforting thought, you know. You know, it's not a comforting thought for guys that go to concerts. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, right. But they've had to downscale too their lives. That, you know, they've had to condense their lives and just to fit the most important things in their life just into this one little room. And you know, I mean, they've had to surrender and give up so much. And a lot of times, I'll look at them too, and I'll think, you know, God, it must really suck. I understand sometimes family members, you know, I mean, if someone needs 24/7 care, you know, the reasoning behind putting someone in a nursing home, but it's still just always festers with me that just to think like you get to the end of a long life, you know, you're in your 80s, your 90s, you've worked, you've survived, you know, world wars, you've survived great depressions. And then this is what it all comes down to. You're just parked somewhere just to, you know, just to sit and just, you know, like watch the time go by, you know?
Well, you think about it. You go from a big box of your house, then you go to a smaller box of an apartment, then you go to a smaller room, a box. Now you're in a nursing home. Now you're in a really small box, and then you end up in the box that they put you in the ground.
Yeah.
So you just keep downsizing the box that you live in, and then you end up in the box that you die in, and then you go in the ground.
I know. Geez, thank God we ended this on such a happy note, huh? Listen, James, I really appreciate you doing this, man, and hopefully we can keep in touch and we can jump on and do this again when something is cooking, or even when something's not cooking, just for the fuck of it, you know.
Without a doubt, man, no doubt. And then I hope to see you on.
I really enjoyed
Westcott.
I will be there. Yes, I will be there. Am I guaranteed a chance to come and say hi to you fellas?
Yes.
I'll come find you guys. I know where the bus is parked. I know where the bus is parked in the back of Westcott, so I'll find you guys. Don't worry.
The bus,
I will
man.
be there.
We'll probably be dropped off in an Uber. No, yeah. So yeah, we're looking forward to that, man. Hopefully Josh is all okay. It's really, he's having trouble with endurance and playing those arpeggios.
Oh, sure.
That's
obviously,
really where his lot.
Yeah, and obviously his health is paramount. You know what I mean? Like him being like the main songwriter and just, the band pretty much being his vision and, you know what I mean? Like his, his baby at this point, So, but, hey, it is great because it's a show right in his backyard. So, I mean, that's awesome for him, a homecoming of sorts.
I told him that today. He's like, dude, the Westcott, July 17th. He goes, no way. I go, yeah. So.
So how does he not know that stuff? I'm interested though. How does he not know that stuff? Are you the guy who handles more of the touring and the logistics of things?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's more like your end of the pool then.
Yeah, again, it's that large influence. Like I try to do.
Right, you're more the guy who's kind of handling the business end of things.
Yeah, and Josh does too. But I kind of spearhead it, and then I bring it back to him, and then we make decisions from there. And also Eric, the guitar player, Eric Van Druten, our Dutch guy, he is instrumental. He was instrumental in helping put the European tour together. So yeah, they got a lot of good guys. Shane does some business stuff as well, and we all try to keep the business stuff going. I just organize it, and then we'll get on a conference all together, and then we talk about the business, and then we go about it. So well, I appreciate you doing this, James. Thanks so much, man. It's been a real pleasure talking to you, man. Stay safe out there on the front lines of healthcare, man. And I will talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you so much. Cool, man. Thank you, man. All right, later, buddy. Have a great weekend. Yes, you too, buddy. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Later. That is James DeMARIA. You know him as the guy working the skins in TOXIK. They put out an album in 2022 called DeMARIA, which definitely was the best goddamn thrash album of 2022. There. I said it. He's also been behind the kit for Heathen, namely 2021's Empire of the Blind. But as you heard there, TOXIK is his main focus. Plus, he's a fellow nurse. So put a little respect on that man's name because he's out there, much like your old pal Rex here, out there on the front lines, helping people, mending the sick. So salute to him for that as well. I will watch the interview back. Hopefully it wasn't too choppy. If it is, I'll see if he'll run it back again. He did get pixelated a little bit in some spots or whatever, but hopefully you guys out there in the audience heard him loud and clear, saw him loud and clear, despite a couple occasional hiccups and glitches and whatnot. But salute to James DeMARIA. So glad that he joined me today, man. Solid dude. Solid band. Go out and check out TOXIK. Go out and explore their whole catalog. If you want to start with a ripper, though, some current shit, 2022's DeMARIA was a fucking banger. So it's got Rex Ruger's stamp of approval. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. And until we meet again and do this again, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.